Wow. All right. And I'm going to pull this back. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for taking the time to be with us tonight as we're doing our Art Connects Tuesday. And we've got some guests tonight, and we're going to have some good conversation. We'll keep it at a tight hour, and we'll start with some introductions. And the introductions tonight, I was talking with one of you very recently, and talking about kind of the questions that come up while you're doing your work, the things you're exploring, whether it's part of your artistic practice or if it's part of a project you're working on. And just the fact that we've got such a good network of people, sometimes it's helpful to share kind of what you're pondering or thinking about. And you never know where some insight will come from. So that's what I wanted to start with tonight. And it can be, like I said, tied to your artistic practice, related to a project, or just even one of those big picture or philosophical questions that you're focusing on tonight or currently. And here comes someone. We won't start with them, but they'll be able to figure out. Oh, it's Shalene. All right. Let's see, Rachel, and we'll start in the room, and then we'll go to the virtual.
That's a good question. I'm Rachel Ann. That's first. I guess right now I'm trying to figure out, I'm about to re-enter the workforce, and it's been a while, and I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to balance all of my creative endeavors with making money. And especially because I just feel like I have a lot of creative momentum right now. And so I'm saying yes to a lot of projects. And now it's like, oh, I'm gonna have to be working like most of the time, and I'm gonna have to say no and make choices, and I don't want to do that.
Excellent. I bet 90% of the people who will be watching this or are in the meeting will identify with that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Corey.
Oh gosh, I think I'm trying to find a balance between staying busy and being rested, because I finished a big star. It was like 6.5, or like with the base like 8 feet high over at Cave Spring Elementary School. And I was building on my front porch and in my living room, and it took so long, and then I finally got it done, and now I've got some painting that I'm doing, and like an indoor mural sort of at Old School in Rocky Mount. And I'm doing a t-shirt for just do on Instagram for this page called Cheap Skateboard Museum, and some other stuff like.
All right, so balance.
Yeah, I'm just like, I need to learn to say no.
Yeah, so there's a little commonality there already. Yeah, all right, Marla.
I didn't know. Am I artist?
Yeah, you're
okay.
great. Well, we believe that everybody is creative. So we're just scratching the surface with artists at first, and then eventually everybody in the community is going to be.
I do paint.
I see.
I sold my first one last year, first painting. They're 50, and I did it. But I just kind of paint when the inspiration hits me, because then when it hits you, you got to do it. You can't just sit idle. Something in you speaks.
Okay, and you just illustrated something really well for us. And you said, am I an artist tonight? Because you're around the table, and we come around a table like this, we bring one identity typically. And we are multiple things, but we'll often, there might be something from your painting that a lesson, a creative practice that applies to a problem we're trying to solve. And if you leave that outside in the hallway when you come in, we're getting ripped off. We need to fool you. So thank you for claiming your artistic practice.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Are you got any challenges you're working on now?
Right now we're getting ready to gear up for a new grant. And so we're kind of in like a neutral zone. So we're backing off of this one, starting a new one. So just kind of retransitioning, yeah.
Reconfigure.
New gears.
Great.
Yeah.
Jane.
I'm Jane, and also known as Me Jane. Anyways, but just a joke. Challenge I'm grappling with, finding time to do personal art. I got this thing sketched out on canvas and I so want to work on it, but I got too much going on. Maybe after the Daisy Parade, that's the biggest thing. And I guess the other thing continues to be how to turn another councilman in favor of Evans Springs and away from development.
All right, thank you. Shalene,
Hey, what's the prompt?
so the prompt is, a challenge or question you're currently grappling with.
The challenge I'm currently grappling with, which just fixed itself overnight, which was after 4 or 5 days. It's just my email server was down, and it was a really, I know it sounds really mundane and boring, which it is, but when you don't have it, and then all of a sudden you don't know who's not responding or who sent you something, and then they think that you're not responding. It just was that's corrected now, but that was a challenge that was recently resolved. Yeah, I think you hit it, Corey. At least for me, it's the balance component, you know? There's different sides of things that I'm involved and interested in doing. And my family is a huge component of that. And then there's just individual passion, like playing, and then there's work, which I really care about. So it's just all of those things. It's a balance act, so
Thank you.
thanks for asking.
All right, and we'll go to Cody.
Okay, I think the thing that I've been struggling with is just trying to really, I have so many ideas. It's like focusing them and seeing them all the way through. Because you'll be like working on a project and you'll be like, oh, I've got this great idea for this thing. But you want to see the thing you've already started through. And so that would probably be what I would say.
Great, thanks, Cody. And how about Helen?
Well, I have been working on a project to get more students involved with the symphony. And I am just so happy to report that in Thursday morning, Maestro Wally will be at Patrick Henry, and we will be doing some conversations with the students there. And then we will also be on April 17th with Fishburne. So it's just so exciting to see these pieces start to come together. And I've worked with a couple of people who are going to donate instruments. And I'm not at liberty to discuss who they are at this point, but I think it's really great because some students can't afford to purchase their own. So
Great.
that has been my challenge, and I am just so excited right now that this is starting to come together.
Okay, congratulations. It sounds like there is some tenacity involved there. Yeah. All right, and Katie.
I do want to say that Marla is the artistic one in the Let's Say Roanoke team. I have 0 of that, but I am really good at projects, just not art related projects. And so that's actually what I've been working on now is I am currently filling in, I'm doing 4 roles right now at the city on accident. I didn't mean to be doing that many people's jobs, but a lot of them come with some projects that I think are really cool. A lot of them focused around LeadSafe, but also combining our LeadSafe stuff with other housing rehabilitation services and getting some affordable rental units built in the city. So those are some big projects that we're working on, and we're excited about those. But it's a lot of putting all the pieces together. So that's what I'm working on now.
Great. Thanks, Katie. And Brett.
Oh, I have lots of things I could choose from, but essentially, I'm always telling people that you shouldn't avoid painting or drawing things that you don't know how to draw just because you don't know how to do them, not because you don't want to. And so I've kind of gotten on this thing now. I've never had an affinity for horses. So I'm working on several projects now with horses. I'm determined to make them look good. So I just
Terrific. Thank you, Brett. All right, Joy.
Hi. I guess my challenge right now is kind of changing what I do with my craft. You know, I spent like years and years playing gigs at restaurants and wineries, and now my heart's moved more towards the community singing thing. And just recently, like, and I guess it's like having the confidence to do that, you know, I'm just like doing these new things. I mean, the community singing I've been doing a while, but I just started putting myself out there for voice lessons because I've been giving voice lessons to a handful of people. And I love it. It's so satisfying and it's so much fun. And like, and I'm scared to just like kind of like say that I give voice lessons now because it's new and I'm like, do I really know what I'm doing? Maybe, yeah. So yeah, just like having the confidence and just like going with it, just going with where my heart wants to go.
Oh, terrific, thank you. Catherine?
And here we go.
Oh, now you're on mute. Yeah, you have to hit it again.
Buddy, there we go.
There
I
you
think
go.
I did the opposite. Okay, well, I'm actually in my like really wanting to encourage people to go see the swoon exhibit if you haven't seen it. I'm just so appreciative of the power of that exhibit and also the history of having women be in positions where they're influencing and being recognized as forces for social change. So I did a workshop to try to teach people some of the basic techniques that swoon uses, which was a really fun. I'm going to do it again. So I got a quote from this book that I'm obsessed with called The Creative Act, A Way of Being. And this quote just really seemed to be like, yes, that's what I mean. And basically being influenced by other artists. And it says, the quote is by Rick Rubin, and he says, being made happy by someone else's best work and then letting it inspire you to rise to the occasion is not competition, it is collaboration. I just really love that thought that we can collaborate with other artists that inspire us, whether they're living in our community or they're, you know, from another century, but just the way that being made happy by someone else's best work is just such a wonderful way to appreciate art, and not in a sense of like judgment or is it good or bad or do I need to compete with it, but instead it's inspiring me and making me happy. So I'm obsessed with that.
Great. Catherine, I can remember when I read that in that book. I can remember the moment I read that. So it stuck out to me too.
Wow.
Katrina. And there you go.
Hello, everyone. Right now, how's everybody? Right now I am doing the same as Joy, just kind of stepping outside of my comfort zone. I've been asked to do a few things that I'm relatively new to, which is like hosting like a paint party for rugs and like outdoor mats. So this is like a new realm of things, and I'm being asked to speak at places, and I'm not very much a speaker. I'm very introverted at heart. So this is having me step outside of my comfort zone, which I'm very thankful for. But yes, it's like Joy said, it's like that confidence thing. I'm just building on that and just pushing through it. So yeah, that's where I'm at right now.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Susie.
Hi. I am challenged right now by trying to take on art projects that are within my capacity. So I'm like have a very demanding job. I'm like still at work right now. And I have several art projects that are happening. A lot of it's so interesting. People were talking about newness. I feel like I have done the opposite, and I'm doing like returning. I'm returning to old ways I know how to make and like old practices, and approaching them differently. So I have like all of these projects with old tools and muscles that I know how to do that are so fun. But I'm having a hard time figuring out what's within my capacity. For example, like I can't tell you the last time I made a dance with myself or for myself, that wasn't in like deep questioning relationship with somebody, with a group of people. And I just like, I'm like, I just want to go to the studio by myself for a second and just like not feeling like I have the time or the energy. And I don't know if this resonates with anyone else, but like there's this like lovely thing that happens in your upper 30s where your body changes and your energy changes. And so like learning capacity is also about like navigating bodily changes that I don't think is like part of our mainstream narrative around upper 30s. So I'm like, are these changes because I'm working a desk job for the first time? Are these changes because I'm 37? Are these changes because I just haven't had a dance practice in so long and I have a new body? Like, so all kinds of, I wish I could just pick one, but I have several challenges right now.
I felt a lot of resonance in this group with what you just said. Yeah, thank you, Susie. Katie.
Hey, everybody. My current question is around, and exploration is around art as ritual and the place of that in community for bringing us together in different ways or marking different events, whether celebratory or sorrowful. So that's just a place of exploration and inspiration of how to bring those opportunities into community. And I see us all doing that in the ways we bring our art practice, but that's my exploration.
Thank you. Robin.
Good evening, everybody. Let me see if I can turn the camera on here. Good evening. I'm dibbling and dabbling and, doing a little bit here and there. Doug has pulled me out as a connector. So tomorrow, I will be helping out Doug with the conversation about the Northwest and the arts. So bringing together some creatives as well as some just community-oriented people who just want to be the change that they wish to see in Northwest. And so helping to kind of steer that conversation, helping to kind of see how we can best keep people connected and see the projects, come to fruition and just connect people to the right resources that they need to bring some of these things together. And what we found is that there's a lot of overlap in the ideas that a lot of the community members have. And so it's kind of like just trying to find that synergy where all of those kind of come together. So that's what I've been working on. That's what I've been working on with Doug, or what I'm looking forward to working on with Doug. But I've been doing some campaign flyers and just some fun stuff like that. And just trying to tap into my creative bag on some personal things that I want to put out, basically with content creation and digital art. So that's kind of what I'm working on.
Great, thanks, Robin.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think it was Polly where it might have been you that I was talking with, and I said that we have so many resources and sometimes we just need to put our questions out to the group. So the question is there any challenge or question that you're exploring right now through your artistic practice or project-based or even just big philosophical community questions?
Right. Well, I'm resonating with everyone's challenges. My 30s were my great fun, and that was when we were considered troublemakers to be talking about ritual or talking about integration or challenging questions. So now 30 years later, I got other challenges. Digital, catching up with digital technology and how to use it and how to be confident in sharing the wonderful things that we're doing together, and the challenges, that continue with conversations in different sectors of society and finding the ways that we bridge the conversations similarly and for similar goals. And that even when we think we're on the same path, we may be using language that's different for a different population or a different person. So yeah, it's all challenging, but exciting. So,
Excellent.
yeah, I'm glad Roanoke has come this far and glad to be working with everyone.
Thanks, Polly. Yeah, I think it'll be helpful for us to do that once in a while, where we're not answering questions or going very deeply in them in the space, but one-on-one afterwards. And when you see somebody next, I'm sure there'll be some conversations that come out of this. So thank you. And then with that, I'm gonna stop my screen share. And I'm going to start a new screen share, and I'm going to introduce, well, Marla and Katie have already introduced themselves. They're with Lead Safe Roanoke. One of the hats, apparently there are lots and lots of hats that they can put on over there. And I invited them tonight. We're going to keep doing this. As we're working in the community, there are resources that, the city has, challenges that the community's facing around wellness and equity and all the aspects of kind of the comprehensive plan when you think about it. And so the more we know, the more we're able to connect. And who knows what kind of thinking we can do with a group like this. So with that, I'm going to turn it over and I'm going to get a little presentation going. And let's see, did that work?
Yes, Doug, I see it. Thank you.
Excellent. Excellent. You can just holler at me and I'll move it for you when you need it.
Great. And Marla and I are going to tag team this a little bit, but we just wanted to thank you guys for letting us participate. And this is, let's say Roanoke falls in the HUD Community Resources Division. We're in the planning department. And so Marla works in Lead Safe and I predominantly work in Lead Safe as well. I've got a couple other hats going on right now. So I'm going to share some information with you about the program, but we're very informal in our presentation style. So interrupt us, stop us, ask questions, but just wanted to kind of do like a quick formal so you could see a little bit of the visual work that we do, but then do a quick presentation, but really give some time for questions, feedback, anything that you guys might have. And after we're done with this, I'll also share a little bit more about what else the Community Resources Division does in the city, because we've got a lot of other cool projects going on that work together with the Lead Safe program. So Doug, you can move us on to the next one.
Yeah.
So lead is something that is a naturally occurring element that you're going to find. You'll find it on the periodic table. But one of the biggest place that our exposure is coming from is actually humans who have created lead-based paint, who have used it in pipes. So you see here a lot of, I think Flint, Michigan is probably the one that people think of when they hear of lead. So it is something that is a natural occurring element that humans have decided to utilize, and it is incredibly harmful. That's why I'll be call myself out on this one. I didn't realize until I worked to Lead Safe the reason that gas is called unleaded is because there used to be leaded gasoline back before my time. And the reason that it doesn't exist anymore is because of how toxic it is. It's really interesting to hear some studies of the soil that's done off of interstates and what a high level of lead concentration the soil has from the cars and the exhaust driving back and forth from the gas going around. What you'll hear us focus mainly on when we talk about Lead Safe Roanoke is lead-based paint. That is the number one. And Doug, you can go on to the next slide. So lead-based paint is where you're going to be seeing the most impacts of lead poisoning for kids. And it can cause developmental delays, learning disabilities, loss of appetite, weight loss. What we mostly are seeing in Roanoke are some of these, I don't want to say not as severe, but you're not going to maybe notice the developmental delay or learning difficulties until potentially years after. There's no real, we're not seeing a ton of kids with such high levels that they're admitted into the emergency room with seizures and lead can lead to death at really, really high levels, but we're seeing more of these low levels that are causing lifelong learning difficulties. There's also some tying into heart health as you're an adult. So it really can impact all areas of the body. So it's a pretty serious, and in Roanoke especially, and really just in the US, it is the lead-based paint from older homes that is causing the impact that we're seeing. There are some, like obviously with Flint, it was the water. What's interesting is that I haven't seen a study of how many of those kids may have lived in older homes and gotten lead poisoning from their homes in addition to the water that they had. There's no real way to say, hey, you got your lead poisoning from the water you were drinking, or hey, you got the lead poisoning from your paint. So even after Flint, the biggest way people are getting sick is from lead-based paint. Doug, you can move to the next. And kids are the most at risk. The brain from 0 to 5 develops more than any other time in your life. It is developing the rate that it's developing. And so what children's bodies do is they ingest the lead, and then it is impacting brain development. So their brain is developing as quick as it's going to, while also that lead is being absorbed into their body, and it significantly impacts brain development, leading to those learning disabilities. You'll see a lot of behavioral health issues later on down the road as well for kids. And you may not know that you will not know that a child has lead poisoning unless you test their blood. So if going to the doctor and getting tested is the only way to determine whether or not they have lead poisoning. So a kid could have lead poisoning at 1 or 2, and then at 6 or 7 have some learning disabilities when they're entering in school. So it may have been lead poisoning from years and years before. It is, and it's also one of the most common, is because kids' bodies are absorbing, they're growing, they're absorbing whatever they can, and their bodies do not recognize in the way an adult's body does that, hey, this isn't good for me, I don't need it, I'm going to kick it out of my body. Kids' bodies are just absorbing whatever they can because they're growing. And what we see is that, do you guys ever remember any of those? I feel like if you talk to you about lead poisoning or lead, you always see the kids chewing on the windowsills, and they're holding up on there and they're chewing on the windowsill. That is because ingestion is the most common way that kids are getting lead poisoning. And it's actually not from the actual chewing. They can get it from that way, but it's actually just the dust around their house. When you open and close a window that has lead-based paint on it, you're creating friction. And so that paint that's on there is just kind of falling down and just mixing with the regular dust. You may not even see. You probably won't even see it. It's just mixed in with regular household dust. And what those kids are doing, they're playing on their hands, they're putting their hands in their mouth, their toy that's been on the ground, they're putting that in their mouth, they've got a pacifier, their favorite sippy cup, a bottle, those are automatically going into their mouth, and they're absorbing the lead-based paint that may be on their hands or toys and bottles. The best thing you can do is follow the recommendations for getting your kid tested for lead, and that is at 1 and 2. There are a couple of other risk factors, like if another kid tests positive in the house, go ahead and have the other kids tested. But at 1 and 2 are the best times to test kids for lead poisoning if they spend time in houses built before 1978. This is some of the work that we do. This is a pretty big project. Although I will say, and Marla, you can chime in with this, I feel like it is fewer and far between that we have small projects nowadays. Roanoke has a lot of really old properties that are quite large. So we do some really big projects pretty regularly. And some of the stuff is that we're actually going out and doing the work. So we're doing lead remediation in the homes. We're doing a lot of times new windows, fresh paint, fixing other items in the homes. We do a lot of electrical work, plumbing work. We've done roofs before, structural hazards. So we go in there and address not just the lead, but what other health and safety items might be that we discover when we're in the home. And in addition to that, we do a lot of outreach and education, and that is what Marla specializes in. If you wouldn't surprise me if you guys have seen her out and about before at some of us at events and that kind of thing. She's out at anything. We'll talk to anybody anywhere about lead safe Roanoke and the dangers of lead-based paint. So we do a ton of outreach and education. And then we also offer skills training. So for contractors, they need to have certain qualifications to be safe when they're not working necessarily on lead safe projects, but if they're working on other projects on homes built before 1978, there's federal regulations that they have to follow. So we offer free training and assistance in getting people trained and certified, so that even if it's a family that's not in lead safe Roanoke, that we're making sure that anybody who is in our area is safe from lead poisoning that could potentially be created by their contractor when they're disturbing the lead-based paint.
This is definitely one of my favorite projects because it's not just about the health of the child and all that. It really does look great on top of all that. And this really helped this woman become a part of her community again, because she felt a smidge shunned because she couldn't do the work on her home, and she was taking care of her grandson. and could no longer afford anything else but the care for her grandson. And so it was just wonderful to go in there and just, love on her and tell her everything's gonna be okay. And then, do all the work to make her and her family safe. It was a tremendous project. I do want to say the kids, you're like, why are these kids eating the paint? Stop eating the paint. But it tastes sweet. So that's one of the reasons they'll eat it. Please don't try it. But it tastes a little sweet. And so that's why they will commonly chew on things. And anyway, this is just one of the fabulous projects. We hope to continue doing lots more. It shows that we still love our community. It just kind of generates good stuff all the way through.
And people apply.
Yes. I bet she's got it on here. I know her.
I told you guys, I'm not artistic, but I know how to plan things. So here are the qualifications for the program. We're funded through HUD's Office of Lead Hazard Control and Healthy Homes. So it's the funding goes directly to the city of Roanoke, and then we administer the program directly. So we're a direct service provider. There's no go between the so all of our funding goes and stays in the city of Roanoke. We have a really nice partnership with DHCD, which is the state level. So anytime that we have a referral, if somebody may call us and say, hey, I looked up Roanoke, I'm in Roanoke County, we'll make sure that they get to the right place. So just because people don't live in the city doesn't mean we're not going to make sure that they get connected to the right place for services. But our office does focus just on city residents. The home needs to be built before 1978 and not located in the floodplain. And I imagine most of you are Roanoke residents or spend most of your time in Roanoke. It is hard to find a house that is not built before 1978 in Roanoke. That is most of our houses. The average house of age that we work on is 1925. So Roanoke just definitely has a much older housing stock. It's rare for us to work on a 1950s house just because we don't get that many to apply because Roanoke doesn't have that many. So we definitely.
I love that part of Roanoke though. We have such unique character, and it is an older city, and it has a great, it has something we want to preserve. So it's nice to do that.
And then kind of what we talked about, a child 5 or under must either live in the property or regularly visit the home. We love grandmas, we love aunts, uncles, family members, caregivers. If a kid is spending a lot of time in your house, we want you to apply. They don't have to live there full time. We do a ton of we love when we can do the child's full-time residence, but also if they're spending a ton of time at a grandparent's house, just do both houses so that child is protected in both places where they spend a lot of time. We've done some home-based childcare centers as well. We've done some of those. So pretty much where their kids are, we're happy to be there. HUD obviously has a very formal definition of what that looks like, so we can get into the details of that. But most of the time, if a kid's getting pretty regular care there during the week, they're going to qualify for that child care. And then they meet income eligibility. So that's 80% below area median income. And that is a HUD restricted number. And so what that is they take the data, and every year, and it's what's been really nice is we've seen pretty significant increases in the amounts that households are able to make. I think right now a family of 4 is about $70,000 per year. And so you're still at 80% area median income. And part of that is because it's really nice that we're in the city of Roanoke. HUD includes the metro area, meaning that median income includes the county, Botetourt, Salem. So it's actually much higher for city residents than it is our surrounding communities, because it pulls in some of those higher numbers, which allows our income limits to be higher, which is really nice that we're able to provide that service to a lot more. And we do owner occupied units, but we also do rental units too. We're open to rental units, and that's one of our ways of increasing affordable units. Is there's an affordability period that landlord has to participate in to keep that unit affordable after we've done work in it. So we'll do work in the home, but then they commit to keeping their unit affordable and making it available for families with kids under the age of 5. And this is one of our favorite simple graphics. This is the best way to know if you have lead paint in your house. If it looks like an alligator, it's probably lead-based paint. And so this is actually a picture that I took of a door at my own house. And I had the idea. I could have never made it look like an alligator. This is what little brothers are for. We know how to do graphic design stuff. So help me do that. And then Katie Hedrick in the Office of Neighborhood Services. She's the engagement person. They assisted us in making sure that it got translated. So all of our documentation, all of our documents, applications, outreach materials are in Roanoke's top 4 languages. So English, Spanish, Swahili, and Dari. And we have translation services available. We have an in-person staff member on our team who can do Spanish, and then we have the ability to use a translation service for any other languages. So that is something that we are working on. We've used the Spanish application a couple of times now, which we're excited about, and we would love. We're trying to partner a lot with our refugee community as well to make sure that we're serving all of Roanoke's citizens with our services.
Every kid is valuable. We want to make sure they're helped.
Yeah. And this is just kind of our contact information if you guys have questions after this. Also, if you want to follow us on Facebook, Marla puts a ton of stuff on our Facebook, but this is probably an example. This house right here, that entire house looked like that. And I think one of the most telling things for this child is, I probably should include this as part of the picture. His toys were below that he was playing with outside, and all of that lead-based paint was like his bike was laying up against the side of the house where all that paint was.
Yeah, and it doesn't take a lot. Like it almost like a fingernail clipping. It's very, very small, just the amount to start lead poisoning.
Yeah. Wow. All it takes is, so we have, and I'd be happy to get into detailed program. I just want to kind of do an overview, but a sugar packet, if you took that and sprinkled it throughout a house, and if that was lead-based paint, like dust and chips in a sugar packet, and you sprinkled that through a standard size Roanoke home, you would actually exceed the safe limits for lead paint in your house. So it does not take a lot. You generally cannot see it. The flaking obviously is a big deal, but we see a lot of those windows, and that's why people think of us as the window replacement program. I have to tell them, I was like, we're not the window replacement program. We will probably replace your windows, but we're doing it to keep you safe from lead paint, to keep the kids safe from lead paint in there. So that is the Blood Safe Roanoke. We have some ideas and some thoughts that we'd like to get this out, but we'd love, if you guys have questions. And I did want to highlight some of the other work that our division is doing. So as I said before, we're a part of the larger community resources. And so if you guys are familiar with entitlement funds, Roanoke is an entitlement community. So if you've ever heard of a community development block grant, our office runs those. Emergency services grant, we do a lot of those for homeless services. So we do a lot of housing prevention. So we have the funds. If people go to HAT team, a lot of that money is coming from, our office is the one who receives it and then monitors those funds and gets those out to the office. And we do public services as well. So we do a lot of, if you're familiar with Renovation Alliance, we fund a lot of their housing rehab, TAPS major rehab projects, and their limited repair are funded by our office. I think those are probably some of the more visible ones. We also highlight target areas about every 5 years. We are now currently in the Belmont Fallon target area. And one of the big projects that we work on with the city is the streetscape project. So as you see things going on 9th Street, that streetscape, that's funded by our office as well. And a part of a team helps us with that. Our newest project we're really excited about is called Home Safe. And that's about that is money that we got as an entitlement community, and as well as with the American Rescue Plan. We have money for move-in assistance for our individuals and families who are exiting homelessness to help pay for deposits, first month's rent. So we have that going through, and that's going through our HAT team. So we're making sure those funds get to where it needs to be. But then one of the really exciting things is that we have about $5 million that we are actually, you guys are getting the news hot off the press. On Thursday, a pre-application will open for developers because we're going to be building 50 affordable rental units in the city with those funds. 50 is the minimum. I'm trying to get some more. So I can promise 50, but I'd like to see some more in there. So that's another thing that's coming out of our office. So we're just really excited about working together. We also, if you're familiar with Healthy Homes Roanoke, that's another program that we have. So we have a lot of programs in our team and our department that we're excited about the work we're doing. And one of the things that Marla and I have always talked about is lead paint. It's kind of boring. It literally is paint. it's not super exciting. Like an alligator was about as good as we got. So one of the things we've talked about is that we do a lot of outreach, but I think Mara said this at the beginning, we're finishing up one cycle of our funding and getting ready to do another, meaning we get access to more funds. And so we've been thinking, what would be some cool ways to outreach to people? Because there's always like the little stress balls and all that kind of stuff. But we're also thinking like, let's go big. Let's put our faces on a bus. Let's go on like the side of a building. Like we're open for lots of things. We do a lot of work with RVTV too. I don't know if you guys have ever seen the Lego video that they won an award for. I'll find the link and drop it in the chat, but that was actually for our program. They did one of those Lego animation videos for the program talking about it. So we love anything that will capture people's attention. Because again, we're kind of like watching paint dry for some of the we're literally watching paint dry and installing windows. So we're hoping to maybe get some feedback or some ideas about, different ways we could engage the community or think about how we work together with our arts community to get the word out about what we're doing, whether that's with Let's Say for some of our other projects, and just make sure we're available if you guys have questions or referrals and that kind of thing, that you guys know where to find us. So I'm going to stop talking because I've talked for way longer than my my normal. So I'd love to hear some feedback and questions from you all.
It looks like does Joy have a question? Or are you waving at somebody?
I was waving to my cat. He was looking at me.
I feel like we should meet the cat now.
I do have a question. It's like kind of a technical question, I guess. Do you guys scrape the paint off or you just paint over it?
If it's loose and already peeling, we'll scrape it. And of course, we have to, don't do this yourselves.
I'm not looking for tips.
We have people that we hire that are trained to do it, but they do whatever's loose and then we go back and paint. Usually with a paint that has bitters in it, so that the kids, if they do chew on it again, it doesn't taste so good.
Yeah. How is it disposed of?
It's actually considered household waste, so it can actually just go into a regular trash bag where they duck neck it and lots of tape, and then they take it to the dump.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah, one of the biggest rules if you ever come across lead-based paint is the goal is to not disturb it. And so it's as simple as like spraying it with like a light spray bottle. Like if you were to do this in your own house and like do a DIY, you put your mask on, all that kind of stuff, so you're not breathing it in. Most adults actually get lead poisoning because they're DIYing a project at their house without proper PPE and they breathe the dust in as they're creating it. So you want to keep the dust down. So we actually do a wet scrape, get all of the loose paint off. One of the reason lead paint was used is because it's a fantastic product. It stays on for a very long time. It's been 100+ years for some of these houses and they're just now starting to peel. So it's pretty much on there. If we did full abatement, what that would look like in Roanoke for a lot of our properties, we would rip the siding off of everything. We rip out every baseboard, we rip out every door casing, because in some of those 1920 houses, they're covered and it actually like leaches into the wood. So really to do full abatement, you have to remove the wood. So we're definitely reduction. Kids probably aren't going to get lead poisoning from that flat surface. They're going to get lead poisoning from those surfaces that are getting dinged up, like doorways and your windows where they're just cut, where it's that friction and the dust and the paint is falling off. That flat surface is probably not going to be a high risk area. It's where that's going to create the dust. Lead paint, if you have lead paint on like an interior wall and there's no chips peeling, you can leave it just the way it is. It is only dangerous when it's deteriorated. So if it's chipping, peeling, creating dust is when lead paint becomes dangerous.
Yeah, and like she said before, I know you guys are super excited about lead paint, but Let's Say Roanoke on Facebook has the videos, like if you did want to DIY, so.
Any other questions?
What's your most difficult population to reach with messaging?
That's a really hard question because we do actually get everyone from all over the city. We try really hard to not miss anyone. So she knows, I put on my shorts and I just run through the whole city and drop flyers everywhere. Because that's the last thing we want is to miss someone who really needs help.
I would say
Southeast.
Southeast, the target area has been really difficult. I also think our Hispanic population has been harder to reach, even though we had the Spanish applications. We have just, so one of the things that you'll see on LeadSafe's application and a lot of other applications for federal funded projects is we collect race data. And when I was doing my yearly collection, I was like, this isn't right, because what the data showed wasn't reflective of the population of Roanoke. And so we have made a really big effort in changing how we outreach our Spanish speaking community by changing up our application, by making sure our applications in Spanish, having our outreach materials, reaching out to some different churches, and making sure that we're doing outreach to where that community is and creating some trusted partners. And so I think that's been something that over the last 2 years we've made a lot more concentration to, and we're starting to see some improvement there, but that's been some difficulty there. Yeah, Southeast has been a little bit difficult for us. We're in Northwest, up and down Melrose all the time. So that's an area that we're at a lot. But that Southeast target area has been more difficult. Some of that is, a lot of that is rentals. And so I think there's some of that fear of if you're a tenant and you say, hey, I want this service, you're worried about your rent going up, your landlord doesn't want to participate. So there's some of that fear with I think our residents who are in maybe some substandard rentals.
Maybe that's a great idea. Maybe getting landlords excited about using this as a tool to make sure families that are in their properties are safe.
Yeah, I think one of the things that we've talked about too is that it was interesting. On one day, I had 2 different calls from the health department with referrals, and it was 2 women and 2 women, they were moms, completely different walks of life at that point. One of them was living in public housing and the other one was living in a $500,000 home. Both of them had children with lead poisoning. Both of them had zero idea of how their kids got lead poisoning. So really just the education is needed there. That we've talked a lot about, some of our doctors' offices didn't know that they were supposed to be testing their kids, or people didn't know. And so really just educating our parents and caregivers about the dangers of lead paint that can be in their house, and having our parents be advocates for their kids and making sure that they're well informed so they can take that information when they go to the doctor's office with their kids, and they can advocate like, oh, my kid's 2 years old and you didn't tell me that you tested their blood and they live in a 1925 house. I need for you to test their blood. And so I think advocating and making sure that we kind of have that community education so that our medical professionals are aware, our parents are aware. You'd be amazed how many contractors don't know that they're required to have this. You can actually, some of our another risk factor is if your parent is a contractor or somebody that works in lead. So you can, if you're a contractor, if you work on like batteries and car parts, if you work at a shooting range or work with guns, there's a lot of lead there. You can actually bring that home on your clothes, and you can wash your clothes with your kids' clothes, and you can give your kids lead poisoning because they all mix together.
Wow. Okay. Well, thank you, Katie and Marla. I wanted us to kind of explore some of these topics. When we're working with a neighborhood or working in a community, I know I was working on a project and there was somebody who I think qualified for this program, and they had seen their neighbor, which often happens. I think they see something happen in the neighbor's house and then they get interested in it. And not everybody's comfortable coming to the city or figuring out where the resources are. And so I think you never know where one of those connections is going to be. And additionally, as we get started and are working on art projects in a community, say the community's pulling together to make their neighborhood look better, and say they're working on a mural, that is one project. But there are so many other projects happening simultaneously. Like when you think about the housing investment, Katie mentioned a minimum of 50 new units, affordable units. When you talk about what's happening in Southeast Roanoke, these are significant changes that are happening simultaneously. And it's not an either or, that we invest in the arts or we invest in other aspects of creating a healthy, safe community that's welcoming to all. So as we know, these resources are there. Sometimes we can be a liaison, and you might think of a creative way to help get the word out. And we've got the contact information. So are there any other questions or thoughts before we go to the last part of the meeting?
How is their contact information going to be shared?
So we'll have it in the notes, and we can type it in the chat right now. Katie, do you mind typing in all of your contact information in
Thanks.
and I can pull the screen back up if that's easier for you to.
She's probably already done it.
Okay.
She's so fast.
She's fast.
She is. I was like, that's why she's quiet. She's like pounding away.
And I dropped in the chat the YouTube video. That's me. That's our Lego video, which I was like, oh yeah, this is great. I have no idea how to do this. So that's my creativity levels. I'm like, yes, creative art, love it. Don't know how to do it, but we'll definitely, but we want it.
Great. Excellent. Yeah. And so a simple Google often really works well. So if you type lead safe Roanoke, it's going to take you right there to it. So that's one thing to remember too. If you get, so you can't get to your notes or the name.
And Facebook, please like us. We barely got 800 likes over 15 years.
Oh yeah, we can help spread the word.
Nobody wants to like lead poisoning.
All right.
So I have one quick question. Are those other resources that you mentioned, are those found there as well? Like about the affordable housing things that you're doing, and there was a few other things that you mentioned. Are all of those found on that Lead Safe page?
They're not found on the Lead Safe page, but if you get to the Lead Safe page, the revitalization page, I'll be honest, I'm gonna toot our own horns. The Lead Safe page is the best outreach because we've got Marla. Our other teammates don't have a Marla. We're working on changing that. But if you guys are looking for something like that and you can't find, just email me and I'll make sure you get what you need or direct you to the right page if you're looking for something specific.
Okay.
And a lot of it's very new, so it's probably not advertised as well, but you're hearing a lot of things that a lot of residents don't know yet. But yeah, Katie Kennedy.
And if I don't know the answer, I will find it out for you or get you to the person who does.
Terrific. Thank you both. We appreciate it. All right, so for our last part of the meeting, I want to run through some things that we've got happening and coming up. So this weekend, what's happening this weekend?
Arts Pop.
Yeah, Arts Pop. And we've got so many artists who are going to be part of this. We're really excited about it. Shalene, we hang out at Arts Pop every year together, don't we?
It's really fun, yeah.
Yeah.
All day. Well, it's one day shorter this year, but it's gonna be extra energy during the hours that it's existing, so.
Yeah, so if you look at the screen, you'll see, and let me make this better for everybody. If you look at the screen, you'll see we've got, beginning on Friday night, and Catherine Devine is gonna be drawing characters. Learn how to draw a cat's butt. Let's see. And let's see who else is in there. Brett Legoo is going to be. He's going to be just out there creating art. He's going to be an artist on display at 10 o'clock on Saturday.
Yeah.
Saturday morning. And then Daisy Art Parade with Brian Coonahan. We can learn about that. There'll be painting with Katie Pickle. Inside that, so there'll be things happening at tables in the atrium. So just look for us. Shalene and I will be there with tables. And then in the cafe space, we're gonna be doing the workshops. So there'll be drumming happening and
that's at the Taubman.
This is at the Taubman Museum of Art. So all day on Saturday, we performances and good things happening. So are there any questions on that? And I can't get so I can see people. How'd that happen?
Includes
I just
Friday.
want to watch the cats.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, okay. Any questions on Arts Pop?
So fun.
That includes Friday, 5:30 to 8:30.
It goes to 8:30. We just committed to being there till 7:30. Because just in case, yeah. We might stick around, but
Their website
5:30
says 9. Is
that
that?
is so late for me.
I think that's just because like it's also First Friday, so
Yeah.
that's how late most of the galleries are open and stuff too,
That
so,
makes sense.
yeah.
Yeah. If you want, and we can all stick around too.
Or we could go get wine.
Or we can go get wine. Exactly.
And Saturday, they're open till 5, but
Yeah.
we've got it planned through 4
Through
o'clock.
4. Yeah.
And mingling and, hopefully people will look at the the swoon or the rainy exhibits and.
Exactly, yeah, and then, oh, and then Thursday, did folks sign up for the art talk? Anybody get,
Saw that.
did you see it? Allison Schott's Art Talk at 5 o'clock. That's a special invitation for you folks. If you want to go, it's our talk for artists.
Thanks for
Thursday.
the reminder.
Yeah, it's Thursday at 5 o'clock. I can, once we get done with the meeting, I can go in there and look and see who's registered. I'm gonna head over there.
Would it be
yeah.
okay to be a little late? Like I teach till 5, but I could dash over. Do you think that'd be informal enough that I could be late?
I don't know. I think the last time we all met downstairs in the back, we ran through the back and went up. I'll get some details from them and see. I'd say try it. Yeah, I'd say try it. Okay, and then also, let's see, what else do I want to talk about? I want to mention that we're gonna have a new segment beginning next week, and that's gonna be called "Smelling Like a Daisy" with Brian Coonahan.
That's awesome.
And that'll be just a little Q&A every week. I hope Brian will be available. So if you're working with groups on your Daisy Art Parade work and just want to have a quick question, that'll be a time to grab them. I'm just hearing more and more groups that are signing up and getting involved, and art making has been happening. Is everybody part of a crew or a group? Anybody looking for a group?
Kinda, yeah, I'm not in one yet.
Oh.
I filled out the application and like, I don't have a crew, but I told them I might make a big paper mache head for the art mouse and just swear that off in parade.
I love it because he's kind of famous. I see him everywhere. He's like,
And
yeah.
parades I've been to before, like people in the audience are watching the parade dressed as well.
Sure.
That's what I was
Why
planning on doing.
Go for it.
You can, yes, yes. Yeah, and you might, who knows, you might get pulled right along.
Who knows?
And it's part of a group. So we are really excited about the Daisy Art Parade. This coming month, you know what? I just did that calendar for February, and it's time to do the calendar
Right,
yeah.
for March.
April.
Oh, gosh.
Just go straight.
The work never ends, people. It never ends.
No.
So on the March part, if you've come down and picked up your books, your bag of your Arts Connect Neighbors books, most of you found within those a book called Making Change, Teaching Artists and Their Role in Shaping a Better World. And it's a slim book. I'm going to order more of them because I know, because as we've been talking to people, I've kind of been handing them out. So I'm going to order more. This guy, Eric Booth, is he's been around for a long time, pretty, high powered, guy working with teaching artists at Carnegie Hall and Juilliard. And I think it's his mission now is really here at the end, later in his career, is to move teaching artists from the classroom into the world. So how are we engaging in the world around us through our art? And we're going to have him hop on one of these calls with us during March. So we'll read it in segments and we'll invite him in, and we'll have some conversations about it. So that's coming up in March. So come on down and pick up a book, and I'll get some more ordered, and we'll have a stack in there as well. So that is happening. And then the only other thing that I want to say, and I guess I don't really need to share the screen for this, but I need to have it from me because I can't remember everything. This spring, I think we're really going to start to see the big picture of all of this. We got the Daisy Art Parade coming up, and the Daisy Art Parade and the Arts Connect Neighbors, and then the Neighborhood Artists in Residence. Soon, all of our artists in residence, I think in the coming years, are going to be organized around neighborhoods. So kind of move in that direction slowly. We've got funding for the Daisy Art activations, and the Daisy Art activations will happen in between the Daisy Art parades. So after this April, we'll start having activations in neighborhoods. So little Daisy Art workshops and kind of fun events that are happening in the neighborhood where we're all kind of supporting that neighborhood and they're helping to put it on. And at the same time, like Robin said, tomorrow night, we're gonna have a big conversation about Northwest and start to connect the dots between this art activity and community organizing. So how are we becoming stronger neighborhoods through the arts? And so we want to start really getting that broader picture out there. And it's kind of a lot to think about in a way. Not everybody has to see the whole big picture, but this group is going to be seeing the big picture, I think. And I can feel you. I mean, you're asking questions and you're talking about it, and I know you're seeing it, and you're creating it. So this Daisy Art Parade, we want it to be something where everyone feels welcome. It is not just for certain neighborhoods, it's for every neighborhood. We've got resources, we've got artists, we've got folks in neighborhoods who, you know how it is. You can say, well, everybody's welcome. That is different than everybody being invited.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we're going to be working toward. And, you know, it won't happen this year, but we're going to get more neighborhoods here this year. But it'll, in between this year and next year, if we have that vision, what if this Daisy Art Parade is all the neighborhoods celebrating each other? And we've got it in the back of our mind during the year. We're building relationships in neighborhoods. We're building relationships. The neighbors are building relationships. We're all connecting in fun, friendly ways through the arts. And it is meaningful. It's going to, I am sure that we're going to have big outcomes, and we're never even going to be able to measure the outcomes from all of this, I don't think. We'll try though, certainly. So the Daisy Art activations, you know, with those, we've got resources for projects in the neighborhoods. In the Art Connects Neighbors, we've got project money for follow-on projects in neighborhoods. We've got lots of resources. We've got artist action grants that we're just about to award. And those projects, some of them are focused on neighborhoods. So I'm just super excited. It's going to be a busy spring, and I know the balance is tough, and that resonated with me too. Am I still pursuing the goals that I have? And I think I am, because it's all every little piece of this is great fun and joyful. Yeah. And it's when I feel like there's so much of it that I can't necessarily take as much time as I want to do to each one of them. That's where I end up feeling a little bit of pressure, but bear with me, as you know, and we are going to create something big. But this big picture, this is the group that's going to have the big picture and carry that torch forward. Catherine.
I just wanted to ask if I could remind folks here, and if you have friends or family members or anybody that's really wanting to figure out where they fit in, I'm going to be having the artist roundtable discussions. Are going to be meeting starting this Monday at the CoLab building. We've been given opportunity to meet there from 6 to 7:30 is like what we've got planned. And, you know, if we need to stay a little later, however it works out. But I really we're going to start out with just the basics of how to set up a business in Roanoke as an entrepreneur, as an artist, to start seeing yourself as a part of the business community as well. So that'll be what we start out with, but we're very open to like moving in whatever direction the artist discussion goes with how we can support each other, network with each other, share information, learn about resources that exist already, and then hopefully at the end have some ideas of what the city could do to help us grow as actual working artists in Roanoke, whether you're full-time, part-time, or just daydreaming about it. So that's kind of our goal. We're starting on this. It'll be the first Monday for the next 4 months. So if you can put that on I had to figure some way to make myself be able to remember it. So it's first Mondays starting this Monday. And love to see as many people come. You don't have to be, just if you want to be part of this conversation, you're invited.
Thank you, Catherine. And that, again,
what time is that again?
Say it again.
What time is that again?
6 to 7:30 is what we reserved at the CoLab. I'll go a little early to make sure we can get in.
I have a little technical question others might have regarding our residency reports.
Oh, yeah.
And any photos that you want, can they be downloaded directly or do they need to be put into a document and then
No, you can
upload
just,
the
you
document?
can upload
As many as,
I think that, I think that form only has 2 uploads, but you can upload 2 and then you can shoot them to me in an email. That's fine, anything extra.
Okay.
However you want to get them to me, or text, or however, I'll get them.
all right.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I appreciate that midterm report. You know, I didn't want to make it too arduous on the reporting for this, but do want to know kind of what you've learned, what you're curious about now, how you see it shaping up in the next 6 months, because they are going to fly by. Any other reminders for what's coming up? All right. Well, with that, thank you for being here. Bye.
Yeah. Tell people to sign up to the newsletter.
Oh, yeah.
So we don't have to remember everything. Yes, we have a newsletter.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you'll get it. I'll send to him.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get you on the
Yeah.
newsletter.
Cause there's so
It is-
much we forget.
And Corey puts it together, and I tell you, you stay up all night on Sunday nights. How do you get that thing
Right?
done?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're incredibly comprehensive.
There's so much, it's amazing.
A lot of it's like, I'll just copy and paste what people have sent, and then I'll like change little bits to kind of personalize it, but then like, just to do that, and get it all formatted right, like I work all through the week, so I will stay up the whole night on Sunday. And then I'll try to get in the zone to draw a picture, and I'll watch 90s MTV on YouTube and just have it on my headphones.
Right, for inspiration.
Yeah,
Pound through.
until the art mouse comes to me, and then I'll.
I love this sometimes. I just thought it was so cute. Yeah.
So good.
Yeah, I kind of need to see this.
Oh, yeah, oh, you do have to, and you know what? All the archives are there, so you can just like click through on our website, on the main city website. You can look it up. Look, you can see the art mouse and all of his incarnations.
It's an incredible amount of information.
Yeah.
We need to share it with other people in other sectors, because there's so much there.
Oh, hey.
Yeah.
Well, I just want you to know, I had somebody reach out to me that gets the newsletter from West Virginia and said she wasn't able to make it to any of the actual like events, but she wanted to know if I could meet with her on a Zoom. So I feel like we're reaching a much wider group of people than we would even are aware of. So I was the one, I think I might have mentioned it to you, Doug, that if you do get more of those making change books, that might be something that, you know, to be able to spread this information. And I encouraged her to join these Zoom meetings. So if she can do that from West Virginia, right? And through the making change. So I think that'd be a really nice way to kind of bring a young person just out of art school wanting to figure out what to do. It'd be a great way to kind of interact with a community of other working artists.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that'd be terrific. Yeah, I'll get the calendar. I'll break up this into sections. I offered one March event to someone I said, tell me which week you want to do it. I never heard back. I can't remember who it was now.
Oh, no.
So I can't remember there's another topic in March, but we'll find out what that is. It'll be a surprise.
I know my head, my brain goes blank at a certain point.
To see this energy and see little old Roanoke back in the day. was
Right?
Like, and now it's becoming like so wonderful. Like the
Yeah.
art and the music scene is really taking off. I can't wait to see what the next 10 years hold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know, I'm surprised we don't have 100 people on there, so
Yeah.
the word's still getting out.
But I didn't send the reminder out. I do notice a bump when I send the reminder out, but I've just been, yeah.
We hear you.
Yeah.
The regulars are here.
This month went by so fast.
So
I'm like,
much.
There's one more March event that is going to be the Lick Run Spring Fling.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, end of March.
So if you don't have that information, I'll make sure that they send it to you or send it to Corey.
I think I've already forwarded on to you, Corey. I hope I did. Cam sent it to me and I said yeah, we pushed it out last year, or we haven't pushed anything out for him. Yeah.
Well,
So Thank you, yeah. Yeah. Did you get that?
From Kim,
Yeah, I forwarded it to you. I'll look and see.
okay.
Okay.
My cat does not pay that much attention to me any other time, but I think when she hears this excitement, she's like, gotta be in the middle of it. So I apologize for the rudeness of my cat there, but